Cinema Classics is brought to you by the Gateway Film Center, 1550 North High Street, Columbus, Ohio. Further details and showtimes online at gatewayfilmcenter.org.
The award-winning Cinema Classics is produced by John DeSando and Johnny DiLoretto. Listen to the shows and read reviews online at WCBE.org and like us on Facebook.
I'm John DeSando.
And I'm Johnny DiLoretto. This is Cinema Classics.
Yep.
We're in studio at WCBE.
Right. You know, as we move toward Oscar time, a couple of movies, not one of which is going to get the best movie, but it struck me that it's about writers.
Okay.
Trumbo and By the Sea.
All right.
And you may remember Trumbo was Dalton Trumbo, the great writer in the 50s. And the other one...
Screenwriter.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the second one is Brad Pitt playing a writer by the sea. Just can't get it together.
Mm-hmm.
Why not when you're married to Angelina Jolie? It would be very difficult to get anything together.
That's right. You know what's interesting about writers in movies is that it seems counterintuitive, but they make for great cinematic fodder.
They do.
Don't you think?
Oh, sure.
Like you would think that, you know, writing is such an interior process.
Yeah.
That it would be a snooze to tell a story about a writer on screen.
Right.
But because they're so crazy,
Yep.
and because there's so much turmoil, you know, inner turmoil in their lives, they make for just great movie characters.
And they're always having a writer's block. It's so difficult for them. So it makes great drama. The limitation are always because I want to see the moments when they get inspired to write those lines, and you get very few of that because it's probably very difficult.
Yeah.
So, now, Trumbo has all of the trappings of great drama because he was on the blacklist back in the 50s.
Sure.
And Kirk Douglas and Otto Preminger lifted him out and took him off of that list by telling people that their movies were written by Dalton Trumbo.
Yeah, and it tells the story of how Spartacus came to be.
Oh, great. Yeah.
And that was the turning point for basically to end the blacklist.
One of the delightful ones is by a favorite director of ours, Midnight in Paris, Woody Allen.
Yeah.
And that was somewhat lighthearted,
right?
Somewhat mystical. And we didn't see much of Owen Wilson's writing.
Yeah.
But we got a chance to see Hemingway.
Yeah, it was all about writers. And what a romantic, trip that movie takes you on.
Oh, I did it. And, you know, maybe along the lines of what you were talking about, it's more the spirit of the writer than the actual mechanics of writing. It's the world in which they might travel.
And sometimes it's the ideals, the artistic ideals of the writer. You mentioned writer's block, which brings to mind Barton Fink.
Oh, right.
The Coen brothers, early 90s film.
1991, exactly.
And, you know, John Turturro is just brilliant at that. He's basically playing a fictionalized version of Clifford Odets, the playwright, who, you know, had these really sort of important social plays going on in New York at the time, but then gets called on to maybe make a little money.
Yeah, go to Hollywood.
Going to Hollywood and writing screenplays. And Barton Fink is the, you know, stand-in for Odets. And when he gets there, he finds that he has to sell out. He doesn't want to sell out. You know, everything he writes is being changed and questioned, and he goes down this sort of psychological spiral.
Oh, yeah, and, you know, not unlike F. Scott Fitzgerald going to Hollywood. I mean, talk about something that'll eat you up, even if you're a genius.
Yeah, Fitzgerald also did it, and a character in Barton Fink, also a fictionalized version of William Faulkner.
Right. Now, what about Sunset Boulevard?
Yeah, that's a great one. You know, maybe it's because of the connection to films, but screenwriters make particularly good protagonists in these movies. Well, yeah, Sunset Boulevard is amazing.
William Holden playing a washed-up writer.
Screenwriter struggling to make ends meet, and then falls in with this shadowy leftover from silent cinema.
I'm ready for my
Gloria Swanson. Yeah, and again, what we do is follow this guy down this sort of hole, this psychological hole, and that's where a lot of the pleasure comes in.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
You know, exploring the dark nature of the writer.
I'll just pass by 2002 adaptation because I think Spike Jonze movie is a complicated movie. And,
It is.
You know, doesn't have quite the easy drama that we just had in Sunset Boulevard. I think the writer's trying to adapt The Orchid, and it's Nicolas Cage, right?
Nicolas
one of his more
Cage
serious
playing,
roles.
playing twins. He played twin brothers.
Oh, right,
in that movie.
yeah, I think so, right. Good
it's
one.
a very self-reflexive movie. You know, a movie that's very knowing about the writing process, and it's a challenging movie.
Having a little more fun with this writing process, in 1990, Rob Reiner takes a hold of Misery.
Yeah.
and do you remember what is it? The famous writer, is this James Caan?
Yeah,
Yeah.
playing like it was written by Stephen King, right? Stephen King's story.
Yeah.
So yeah, James Caan he's driving through these snowy mountains and crashes, and then he just happens to be saved and resuscitated by a psychotic fan.
It's great. Believe me, it's not necessarily about writing at all, but it's about how your own profession can imprison you and torture you. And here you get a fan,
Kathy Bates.
Kathy Bates, right?
Put her on the map. She made her. I think she was nominated for an Oscar, and
nobody better.
Yeah, that's interesting. I wonder if you could just plug any profession into James Caan's character at that point.
Yeah. And one this year that I really liked, End of the Tour.
Oh yeah, David Foster Wallace.
Yes, and I think it's going to be neglected, although I'm hoping that Seagull gets a nomination for his role.
That would be interesting. I totally forgot about that movie.
Yeah, and that was what worries me.
Well, you know, it should because it's maybe forgettable.
Boy, I don't know. I thought he was...
I think maybe at the time it came out, there were a dearth of interesting films, and David Foster Wallace, being who he was, caught our attention, and I think the movie was fine. I don't think it was great.
Yeah.
And so I wouldn't be surprised if
it
don't
came
hear
out
much more about
it must have been mid-year or so. It came out at a time when a movie can get lost if it's not spectacular.
Sure.
And others, Capote.
Yeah.
Which I think is a great one. The Ghost Rider, Swimming Pool.
There's so many great
I
ones.
know.
What about
Contempt.
What about Contempt? Oh yeah.
Do you remember that one?
Jean-Luc Godard, right?
Yeah,
for sure. There's another, talking about screenwriters, and then we can wrap up, but another great movie out of the 50s, it's usually overshadowed by Sunset Boulevard, is a movie called In a Lonely Place, with Humphrey Bogart as a screenwriter, and he falls in love with Gloria Graham, who is Violet Bick in It's a Wonderful Life, you may recall. And they shack up, and she can't tell if he's a total sociopath or not. And it's a great suspenseful movie, but also a dark comedy directed by Nicholas Ray. It is one of the great writer movies in my mind, but not a lot of people know about it. So if you're gonna explore some of these titles that we're talking about, scare that one up.
That's why you're such a star on this show. But you're reminding me that the first way I met you was then when you were writing for the other paper.
Sure.
You were writing Alternaflix?
In addition to reviews.
In addition to reviews. I loved your writing so much. It was smart and it was accessible, and you continue to do so these days. I try to write. I've won an award here or two doing that. But let me tell you, for all you writers out there, or people who want to know what happens with writers, you got two here. And I can speak for myself by telling you it's a tough process.
Oh, man.
I will do anything but write. Believe me, I will clean my house.
Trust me, there's nothing more I would rather do than write. And nothing that I can't start the process of more than writing. I can't do it. I want to do it, and I can't do it. So,
and all we can say is it's sheer misery.
Exactly.